With due respect, you people, not too bad in the hair, little less in hair, little less in hair, no hair, no hair, no hair, no.
Okay, smile, G.
Say ready, steady, something.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, please smile.
Smile.
Little bit of everybody move.
Smile.
Okay.
One.
Yeah. Look at here.
Smile.
Ready, smile.
फूल गोभी सिंगाड़ा
सर एक बार कैप निकाल दीजिए
बहुत खराब हो गया
किसी के नहीं हुआ सर
बाल ठीक करो
सर एक बार आपका प्लीज
सिंगाड़ा
या
फूल गोभी
स्माइल
सिंगाड़ा हमार दाल गोभी सिंगाड़ा
इस्माइल भाई इस्माइल
Okay, after this one with a funny face. Any funny
okay,
face?
yeah. Go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's see the funny
Ma'am,
face.
do it, whatever you
Funny face.
Oh my God.
All you have to remember is your own, your spouses. That's good enough.
Thank you.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Are you good here?
Good morning.
Thank you. That's better. So, we are assembled here today and very pleased to introduce two persons to us. Both extraordinary gentlemen. First is Professor Uttam. I'm not mentioning doctor because normally doctors who are professors prefer to be called as professors.
Uttam only, that's it. Nobody else.
So when you say professor, automatically they are all doctors. So Professor Uttam Kulkarni is the director of the institute. He is a very senior faculty of this institute. He will go first. After that, the Shri Shrikrishna Kulkarni, the chairman of the board, he is just brought up from IIM Calcutta just to talk to us. And he is, apart from being the great grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, which is one of his base qualification by birth. However, he was the CEO of Panasonic Group and he has held many positions in various organizations before he was appointed as chairman over 4.5 years ago. So now I leave it to Uttam Kulkarni. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning and warm welcome. Sunny outside and live and energetic in red inside. It's a beautiful day. Thank you so much for coming. I recall my old reunions I IIM Calcutta long back, how it feels. I can see the energy in you. So nice of you to come together as my family. Thank you so much. I won't take your time. So first of all, let me thank Mr. K.K. Raman. He had a great role in getting this organized all for us. Thank you so much. And we are grateful to our chairman, Shri Shrikrishna Kulkarni, just for this event. He flew all the way from Bangalore and will be going back this afternoon. And I missed a tiring journey early morning. He had to leave from home really early, dawn. And again, by the time he goes back, we to take care of the elderly mother, it will be late at night. It's quite tiring for him. Thank you so much, sir. We have our colleagues, Professor Manish Thakur, Dean looking after alumni affairs, and Professor Rajesh Babu is one of the faculty members on the board. Thank you for coming. This is an occasion where we'd like to, see you, happy, see you enjoy, talk about things in the past, what happened in the meantime, present, and what will come in the future. It's still all yours, and of course it will be great to hear our chairman, whatever ideas he has shares with you. Thank you so much. Have a great time.
Thank you so much, Apanda. It's typical of a teacher to just hand over the entire thing to somebody else. So thank you very much. I got chipped into this. So anyways, thank you very much. I working with him, with his guidance for IIM Calcutta. So I didn't prepare, but I think if I was in your shoes, what would I like to know? I can take a stab at that. So 8th batch means this is 50th reunion. 9th batch. So 50th? Yes. So it's a long time back. Well, I hope you've seen the campus by now, and you have a feel of this place. Probably when you went to this campus, didn't exist, am I right?
No.
So right off that bat, one of the things that let me give you a small background on myself and why I think like that is because although I never was among the whiz kids like you all who went to an IIM or an IIT, I did get a chance to rub shoulders with some of them because my father was a founding faculty at IIM Calcutta. And I grew up on the campus. My last 10th, 11th, 12th standard was on campus. And then I went for engineering and master's. And I have seen him and I have seen IIM Calcutta intimately. And then, of course, in corporate positions. And so management came to me by practice, not so much by going to a management school. Some of you might have heard of a company, the largest robotic manufacturer in the world is a company called Fanuc. So I was the MD and CEO of Fanuc. I bought Fanuc to India for the first time. I was the MD and CEO of that firm. So my background is robotics engineering and automation. So it was during when I got this call to be, would I accept the position like that? So I went back to my father who passed away last year. No, last year, 2021. So he said, yes, you should take it up. And my journey interacting with IIM started in 2004 when the then HRD Minister Murli Manohar Joshi got into some kind of a, it was a, what's the right, my English sometimes fails me, in some kind of a complication on fees, whether the IIM should increase fees. The position taken by the corporate giants was IIM should increase fees, and the position taken by the ministry was there is no need to increase the fees. And so that debate spiraled out, and all of us would read it in Economic Times. And I was young, 2004, I've been here and I had my own views on it. And so I actually sat down and wrote my views down. Although I had never been to an IIM, but I've seen an IIM from inside as a student, as a kid growing up. And then interacted with IIMs and IITs as just an Indian citizen who was sensitive. So I wrote down an article on what I thought were the basic issues facing IIM Calcutta. I did write about it. Today I feel that those basic issues hold for all IIMs. And the fees was probably just once, it was not an issue at all. The main issue is about an educational institution which is a national asset. What are the main issues to ensure that it continues to remain a national asset? And of course it continues to remain a national asset because the quality of input is so high. And during that time, I did very well. My company, Fanuc, sent me to Harvard Business School. And I was still, I was probably the youngest in my class there as a CEO. And that's what got me thinking. And then I realized that the true eminence of an educational institution like ours, the real fulcrum of the eminence is high scholarship of its faculty. It's not just the high capability of the input students who then go on to become phenomenal achievers in their lives outside. So the alumni is a very, very powerful factor, but so is the faculty. And it was in this regard that I wrote that, with that in background, I wrote the basic issues that face IIM, not the fees. And I still remember the last line I had said that if IIMs truly want to be assets which others should want to look up to, then this discussion on the fees should not be happening in boardrooms. bring it out into the open, let everybody have a view. Let us see what are the pluses and minuses. Take your time, take about a year to discuss that, and then come to a conclusion. Whichever way it may go, we increase it or decrease it. So bring in some transparency. But then when I sent it in for, and I asked my father, and he said, yes, these are pertinent issues. And then when I sent it in for Economic Times, they actually came back to me by saying that we have taken a contrary view. So it was not published. So it was in this context that I started. And when Dad passed away last year, I started getting connected with IIM professors because they have created what is called the archives. So IIM Calcutta needs an archives too. And it was because of IIM that I got the effort that they have put in to create an archives. So we had a campus somewhere else, and that's heritage stuff. And those memories and those nuances and those details should be captured. It's a part of our journey. Very few people know that Ravi Mathai became the director at IIM Ahmedabad. First was here. Very few people know that Ishwar Dayal was first in IIM Calcutta. Then IIM Calcutta is the first. So are we capturing that? So just because we started with this way, I'm saying. So on that end, Manish, who's presently the Dean of External Relations, I had a chat with him. Last year in November on the annual day, there was a Distinguished Alum Award which we give once a year. One of them was Mr. G.M. Kapoor, some of you may know him, he lives here in Calcutta. And he has this domain experience on heritage and heritage kind of buildings, restoration, archives. So I have suggested to them, and I don't know Manish where it's going, and are you putting a deadline, because I'm going to latch on to your 6 and keep on drilling you till you do something about it. So one of the things is that we have bought some. So GM Kapoor, which batch is he, Manish? So GM, I called him up. I said, GM, we need to do something, and we need to start archives. So he was very gracious. So GM is there, and then there's one lady from Bombay, another alum from I don't know which batch, who's a good writer and publishes books and writes. So trying to get some alumni to also get involved in this journey, because any one of you with your smartphones should just Google IIM Ahmedabad archives right now, and you will see what, if that is what is visible on the net, you can imagine the amount of effort that has gone in behind that. So that's one aspect of it. So alumni interaction and joining in, keeping this national asset alive is important. Besides that, I'll touch a few things on the academics. Although I'm not a teacher, I'm not a professor, but I do have an insight through practicing management myself. And that is that I found in my life that and after going to Harvard and all that, you have practice, you have real experience, and then you have a theoretical framework. It helps, there's no doubt about it. And they teach you how to apply it. So one thing is you learn on the job, the other is you get a theoretical framework. It's excellent. But I have started noticing this for the last about more than 10 years now. Let's say about 15 years. That the most critical aspects of management that I faced, I was neither Harvard Business School nor any management class that I ever went to or any management professor that I ever spoke to was able to give me an insight on how to resolve that problem. And that is especially when you come across situations in your life or managerial life when there is a gap between what is expected and what you know. That gap, it's very difficult to bridge that gap unless you bring in certain values which is not taught in our classes. And I'm talking about values which are a little amorphous, touchy-feely. I'm not going to call it emotional quotient, but yeah, I call it human values. Sometimes most problems can be bridged. I mean, in my own experience, although I went from the robotic domain to being the head at Panasonic, which is retail and marketing. I found that over my span of experiences in the top job, probably 95–97% was human related. Domain related was probably 5% or less. And I'm willing to be discounted at whatever discount factor you want to apply to me, but this was my experience, and you can go on your own heads and hearts and decide whether it was the same. And so I think, and I've been talking to Uttam, and Bhaskar is not here, I've been trying to tell them that nobody has done that yet in the world, and Calcutta should differentiate itself right up to that, and that is bringing this theoretical framework. But how about we create a human values part which you inject into the curriculum? The question is, how do you teach human values? You inherit some of our houses, mothers teach us very well. But can an IIM be oblivious to those? Some people just have the benefit of homes. But I also find that the theoretical framework here is so strong that it makes us forget our natural instinct that human values to look at a problem. And why did I think like this was that in your time and my time, and progressively less as the time axis becomes younger, I found that, the silos are vanishing. Technology has removed existence in silos. So this smartphone made in my house also has one. And the aspirations are now hinged at the highest common desire. When you have aspirations and a view into every life form, and there are no silos, then unmet aspirations can end up causing unhappiness, because various other human issues. And if you are a corporate person, you are expected to run an organization, how can you achieve excellence in a sea of unhappiness or a sea of... So you will, I think the boys and girls graduating from now on, probably a few batches earlier already, must be facing that by the time they come up to the top positions, they will not have the benefit of taking a decision which is standalone. They will have to factor in issues of what will be its impact in, say, Sakhalin Islands. I don't know. I'm just trying to tell you through words, give you a feeling as to what I was feeling. And I think IIM Calcutta, I have not heard of IIM Ahmedabad doing it. I know IIM Ahmedabad tried to do it by bringing in studies courses. That's okay, that's one way of doing it. And I know for sure Harvard Business School is not doing it yet, because Professor Srikanth Datar, who is now the dean there, was on our board. He was my teacher. So when I took over here, I asked him, because he wrote the book, Reimagining the MBA. So I told him, Gurudev, aapne kitab to likh di hai, so how about practicing it here? So he was here for 3 years before he took teaching there. So I know this, that Harvard Business School has also not touched that. Yeah. And it's a great opportunity for IIM Calcutta to probably look at how to involve human values, and on that there's some discussions happening. The other stuff that I was keen on sharing with them is bringing in design thinking, bringing in entrepreneurship, because we have an IIM Calcutta Innovation Park. It's a Section 8 company. But if you ask the pertinent question, what role does the Innovation Park play in an MBA student's life? Chances are it will not be properly answered, because chances are it's not being factored in properly. Now, shouldn't we be factoring in, if we have an innovation park where you can incubate startups? Unicorns and these kind of things are now happening. So, bringing those aspects into the curriculum formally, rather than just somebody has an interest or an innovation park. So, that's one thing on the academic side. Coming back to what is the asset of an institute like this? For me, I think the asset is our students and alumni, because of which we exist. But I think the students will start choosing IIM Calcutta if they know that the faculty here is top shots. But if we go there, so in your time it was a quant institute or a finance institute, and you came here because you wanted quant. Somebody else wanted something else, they might on the ball. And I think Bangalore came much later. So can we invest in our faculty? So that's another discussion I've been having with Uttam and my board, and that is, it should not be by a strategy of drift that somebody applies, you hire them and becomes a faculty. Faculty comes in at the assistant professor level, they become associates, then they become full professors. And in my study over the last 5 years, and I'm guilty of that. Some people feel that I spend too much time on the campus. But I feel that if one has to be true to this position, then one must invest that kind of time to understand what's going on. So I feel that the faculty at the assistant professor level, they have a lot of energy. They do cutting edge research. But by the time they become associate professors, that's when that research work starts looking like a body of knowledge. Till there is a paper here, an article there, a book chapter somewhere else. And so the happy news here is that I was able to share it with the faculty colleagues. And how do you invest in faculty? So we decided, and the faculty accepted that idea, and the board has passed it also. Have you passed it, Manish, or are you used to the policies in the making? So what we decided is that how do you attract top-grade faculty? How do you retain them? So you heard of chair professorships, but we said we will also provide chairs to associate professors and young associates. This is a way of attracting. Some people don't come to us. Some people have done something very well outside, and we want to attract them here. So the policy is in the making, and once that is done, we will. The board will pass it. Actually, it came up to the board. It went back with some comments. I can share it with your family. The question was that, okay, suppose you have an endowment of some, should that endowment be used to pay salaries to professors? My own view was it should be used as an honor, and it should be used to top up administrative research, databases and that kind. Salaries has a different connotation. You get into legal issues and those kind of things. So it was on that it went back, couple of things. So once that is passed, we will be providing chairs to younger professors. So that's one more aspect. The other aspect I would like to say that we are trying to rebuild the campus. This campus does need redevelopment, both the physical infrastructure as also the digital infrastructure. The classes need better digital infrastructure, the network, the Wi-Fi network that you see. Some of you must be already noticing it's pretty iffy. If you don't use your own data, it doesn't link up. You go into a room, you can't keep saying it's iffy. It's IIM Calcutta. How long will you keep hiding behind that name? So then when you get into the network design issues, then when you get into the Wi-Fi, so somebody will say you need one like that in every room, And then when you tot up the bill for that, that'll go to 20 crores. And still a student will come and say, I'm not getting network. So then there's multiple issues here. So how do you create a backup team which understands the latest in technology, that is, are you using the mesh technology, etc., etc., etc. Finally, find a solution which is the most optimal and will give us the best connectivity. How do you, if one network goes down, do we have a backup? Are we balancing the network? So there's a digital transformation committee which is being headed by another alum. So we have some standing committees at the board which have, previously we didn't have so many. So in my time, I created 9 standing committees which touch fundamental aspects which are required. So Ramanana and myself, we work on the Building and Works Committee, which is the one which looks at the physical infrastructure. Sanjeev Iyer, another alum, he chairs the Digital Transformation Committee, but there is cross membership so that if when we are bringing up a building, what kind of digital infrastructure is required. So like that we have, I don't know if I have said enough or maybe said too much. If you have questions, it will help me interact with you. I didn't come prepared for a solo like this. So if you rescue me, I shall be so grateful. And by the way, yes, our Ramanana said 4.5 years. Actually, my time expired on 14th November, and I'm on oxygen. I've been asked to continue for a few more months. So I have already put in my request that I should be released. But any questions I can answer.
One of the, when we were walking over at the we were walking and we saw some buildings which were pretty dilapidated.
Yes,
and we were wondering, and actually that detracts from the beauty of it.
Yes,
and we were hoping that there was some action being taken to get that into a proper, at least painted and something.
Yes, sir. Your good name, sir?
Mohammed Farms.
Bob. Bob.
Bob Thomas.
Bob, okay. Thanks, Bob. I'll tell you this, let me answer this. What is an eyesore for you is an eyesore for me too. We are no different. So how do we, all of us, how do we look at this problem? So there are buildings, so we got a safety audit of all these done. And some of them are probably on the borderline unsafe now. So annually there's an annual maintenance that goes on before the new batch comes in, painting and all that. Chuna lagana and all that, both that. Both ways I'm saying. So pun intended. So, but what do you do with that building? So I don't know how many of you know my colleague on the board earlier was Dr. Ramraj. So Dr. Ramraj, Ramanana, some of us in the building committee came up with a master plan. So this campus will be redeveloped over phases. It cannot be done all of a sudden. And in that master plan, there is a plan which building will be torn down and something else will come up. A new hostel will come up, 900 rooms with air conditioning. But all of this requires funds. So the next battle is how to bring those funds. Now, do we have our own retail earnings sufficient to fund that and still give us sufficient buffer that we are not on weak wicket? So that's the thing which we have planned the cash flows in such a way that we will do it initially, but that's exactly why we created a Section 8 company for endowment management. It's entirely run by alums. It's an arm's length company, and its mandate is to engage with the alumni and to raise funds for the endowment. And I would hate to give money if I have no visibility. What am I giving it for? So the first thing we did is that we would bring in those governance structures that is transparency. So I'm still waiting for that giving treat to be given, that alums will know that if you pick up this item, this is the amount of funds required. So when you put that fund in, it goes directly to that, and there is nothing else. So that structure didn't exist, now it exists. And Ramanan is the chair of that. So what I did is we created that, he's the chair of that, but he also sits on my finance committee of the board. So that his struggles are known to the board's finance committee, and board struggles are known to him. This cross-pollination is essential, otherwise we will be only talking over each other's shoulders and saying, "Tumne ye kar, nothing happens." So like that, things are being done. Now, you want to say something to this?
Yeah, just to clarify the context. See, for the past 20 years, around 2003, IIM Calcutta was made a body corporate. So it is no longer functioning directly as, of course, it is owned by Government of India. But the body corporate structure gives it full autonomy in deciding everything. But at the same time, you get zero government cash. So
That happened in 2008.
Yeah.
Body corporate kicked in 2017 with the Act, but
So
we're not getting any funds from the consolidated fund.
For the past 15 years, running purely on retail earnings, and all retail earnings, now there is a master plan to build another 900 room hostel with air conditioning. A phase contractor is the architect. He has submitted the designs. It's being tendered out. Most probably tenders will be out next month. There's also a magnificent new administration and academic classroom block, very futuristic design, both of them. Completely different from the building that you saw.
Would you like to see a 6-minute video on that?
So these things are on the angle, so we see how it goes. Thank you.
Manish, video है उसका? Pen drive पे लिखा था यार 6 minutes. Yeah, please go ahead.
I think my voice can be heard, so don't worry about that.
Order. I'll stand. First, no, you said you're too imposing. Why should you say that? I feel more comfortable.
First, yes, I enjoyed listening to you. My compliments and my congratulations for all the good work you're doing. I heard you say you're going to be around for another 6 months and then some.
No, sir. Actually, I'm on oxygen. My term finished in November 14th last year.
Yeah.
And the ministry said, so there is some discussion.
Okay.
So they said that extend the chair for 1 year or till the discussion culminates, whichever is earlier.
Okay.
And I made it amply clear because there was a little bit of a confusion going on my board, thinking that I was angling for a second term, which I wasn't. So I made it very clear to my board, to the ministry, mandated it that there is no ifs and buts about it. I'm not angling for a second term. Even the first term was something I didn't angle for. I got a call. I thought it was a joke because the guy on the phone just said that, will you do it? I said, if you know so much, send me an email. There was an email meeting.
So my humble request, recommendation,
Yes, sir.
is that all the good ideas and plans and thoughts that you have put into place and which are in progress, do not get stalled when there is a change in leadership.
No, so what I've done is I put everything down in writing. And what I'm going to do, which now you're precipitating this, but it's no harm sharing it with family. And this is what I do. Look, when the new chair comes in, whoever it is, I hand over to them a docket of, I split up the work into so many areas. What are the initiatives that were taken, those which reached culmination, those which are work in progress, those which couldn't be taken. That's my
So now I want to
desire.
change to a different topic.
Sure.
You were talking about archiving.
Yes.
I think our batch, the 9, was perhaps the last batch that was in the Emerald Hall campus. So I think we have a lot to add to the archive. At the time when I was in the institute, I was the general secretary to the student organization, and perhaps one of the things, I don't know whether it's a constitution or a curse, I drafted the constitution for the student association and we put that in place. I would be very happy to contribute to the archiving.
मनीष दोनों हाथ से पकड़ो भाई छोड़ो मत इनको अच्छा लंच खिलाओ जो भी करना है छोड़ना मत no jokes apart actually one of the weaknesses that we've had and I'm being very frank because I'm an outsider is our ability or shall I say the weakness our ability to how do we bring in alums to shoulder in these very critical. So a faculty should lead it. For example, at IIM Calcutta, it's an assistant professor and associate professor leads it. But he has help from very high profile alums who are doing that work. For example, I know for sure Rama Kulkarni is helping IIM Calcutta because Rama is a very close friend of mine. So if our own alums chip in and if we stop being shy about bringing in our alums and saying, can we look at this problem together? I think a lot more can be done.
So just as a data point, several years ago, a lady, I forget her name, she was a dean, she was one of the deans here. She had moved to India after teaching several years in the US.
Oh, that's unusual. She was the director here.
So we had an extended meeting with her in Washington, D.C. Several of us alumni, and all our names and numbers and contacts and interests and all of that was contacted. I don't think there was At least, I know there was any follow-up after
What's your
that.
good name, sir?
My name is Shankar Iyer.
Shankar, let me give you a brief background. Anju came as a director. I was in the selection committee.
Yes.
And she was our director. She came from, I think, Virginia, Virginia Tech, I think.
Yes.
She came there. And she's an alumna from IIM Calcutta. And unfortunately, things did not go the way we wanted it to. So I'm not going to say anything because she herself not here to defend herself.
Right.
So I will not say, but what I said is that it was all with the best of intentions. There was never, and sometimes things don't go the way we wanted it. And there was a parting of ways. But during that interim, there was a lot of flux, at which time many of the catches were dropped. Because when an institution goes through flux of this nature, it obviously has its damage, if I'm allowed to use that word. Sad, but it happened. And did we learn something from it? I think we did. All of us did.
Thank you, because that
So,
was
probably
that
that's
was
the
the
reason.
reason for my raising the.
No, I'm not shy about these things. And I'm pretty calm about these things. Because I do not hold any one individual. I actually come from that belief that if you select somebody, then more than 50% of the owners of their success is with us.
So there were two of us who were based in Washington DC,
Right.
who were also, I was a part-time academician, the other fellow was a full-time academician. Okay. So I think we both can help a lot with the.
Manish, you have this data.
And we can follow up, sir.
No,
But again, my congratulations, and I hope you are persuaded to continue another term.
No, I told them that even if I'm not, I've been infected with IIM Calcutta. I will continue to, if they are, they'll most likely forget the moment a chair is taken away, because that's the reality of life. But it doesn't matter. I will still come, because I love the place, I like the people, and I got associated with this one way or the other. So I consider IIM Calcutta as a part of my own life. That part, please be reassured that whatever is in my scope, I will do, even if I'm not here.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Very small thing. It's not so much about parents and so on. There's a lot of work going on with K.K. Raman being involved in nitty-gritty of how things in the infrastructure can be improved and so on. This is a learning experience for the MBA students. They want to know how we are involving the MBA students in this effort, because otherwise we will go to class and there are books and lectures and so on, but this is the real life
Your name,
experience.
sir? Your name, sir? Your name?
Ramakrishna.
Oh, interesting. Now, we'll be very happy to know, sir, that in every board meeting, this comes up. I mean, every board meeting we win it, that we should involve our MBA students in these problems. But from that point on, it goes to them. So I actually don't put my hands that far down deep, because I think then it can cause discomfort. But I personally think it's a golden opportunity and we are not involving them. Let me say, the wish is there, but the bridging is not happening. Because probably we've never thought, we have a given curriculum, we know how to teach that. But how do you involve an MBA student on hands-on problems? So we don't know, probably we've not given it sufficient thought of how to credit them for the time they spend. So those are very valuable lessons we should.
Just to add to what Chairman said, for the master plan, campus design, the students have been consulted, and their conveniences, etc., have been changes have been made in the design after consulting them about their conveniences, etc. At the design stage, yes, but not yet on the implementation stage.
It's not so much.
Yes, yes.
First of all, thank you, Chairman, for coming over from Bangalore specifically to meet us. That's very nice. That's very nice.
call me Krishna.
Okay. And my name is Vijay Kumar. And my question is, how actively involved is the academia or academic faculty here with the alumni? Quite often, even if they want to, they may not be involved as much as they probably need to. Is there any thought of setting up a separate alumni cell which can be actually sourced with separate people? IIT Kanpur has initiated that, and that has helped a lot in increasing the interaction with the alumni. And that is also one way of tapping the alumni for funds. We are as a batch probably a bit too old now, but the age group of let's say 40, 45, 50, 55, that's the time when we gave it to our IIT Kanpur, for example, because there was proper timing. That's the batch you would be wanting to actively pursue for fund initiatives. Yes.
So allow me to unpack this question into its different layers. So it's the alumni and the faculty. The alumni want to be in touch, the faculty want to be in touch. The question now comes is, do we have the systems in place? Because just because I have a wish, I also have to teach, I have to do my research, I have to do this. Then, do I have the office support which will help me bridge that? I may have a support, but is the quality of that support something which an alumni will be able to deal with? You know, so now you will start asking me at this point, Vijay, that तुम तो बड़े fundamentals की बात कर रहे हो, हमारे यहाँ 50th reunion हो रहा है, IIM Calcutta first, क्या हो रहा है? Now, जो भी हो रहा है, you will realize that it's these the God is in the details. If you fix these and make it an effort, it's just an issue that Manish can talk to you, the rest is taken care of. Either you have digitally enabled or those kind of processes in place. I think that's what is now coming up. And I have been telling them that in this designing that process also, do not take it as your individual faculty driven onus. Bring in alums who have done this at the level of excellence in organizations, NGOs, corporations, educational institutions, what have you. Bring them together on a table, tell them that this is the problem, we want to solve it, drive a process, put it down, and then run it. If you leave it to me alone, me as in one faculty member who has been given this task, probably I will start working on that process when I have time. And the quality of that process will probably not be at the level that you are seeking. So now, why do I know this? Is because my father was at IIM Ahmedabad, but my father joined IIM Ahmedabad after putting in 20 years as an IAS officer. So in Ahmedabad, he was the one who wrote the processes and the administrative processes in 1965. So they set those. So when I asked him that, till he died, I used to come back to him and ask him that I'm facing these challenges. And because we are a family, I can share. He would say, yes, the philosophies were different. And you have to enshrine processes. You have to put them down. It's not for every academic to write a process. Somebody has to look at the administrative side of the process. Together it works. So we are doing that.
I have one more question. You talked about teaching faculty. Teaching faculty. Here, a lot of them. Now, just in this group, there is so many people who have gone through a number of these effective methods of understanding what is necessary in organizations. And the faculty is teaching the same thing from books and then also. Possible that we can choose some of these people who are here.
Or it's possible, but I don't choose them. I'm not an executive chairman. I can give ideas. If I start stepping into the zone and make myself come under your skin and make your life miserable till you do it, then the reverse allocation can start. So I have to walk a very fine line. It's the Shura Sevara.
Sir, I think from this batch, Patta, right? Patta, will you please stand up?
Anna, let me update. This just reminded me. But let me tell you, what we are talking, we must do. I'm glad you brought it up. Manish is here, director is here. How we bridge this and how we get them to feel less shy about bringing you in. But let me tell you, the present dispensation in Delhi has talked about $1.5 trillion in infrastructure. For that, they started what is called the Capacity Building Commission. Because all infrastructure projects at the national level tend to generally fail or not reach the pinnacle because they are not managed well. They don't know project management, they don't know project financing. I'm talking about the governments, the IAS officers. So there was a CBC was created under the Ministry of Economic Affairs. We are the first IIM to sign to be a knowledge partner. Now CBC has signed us up. From this point on, it's for us to sell ourselves to the ministries and tell them, listen, if you want to understand project financing, I have a module created. This is the rate at which I teach all your problems. In this, we are trying to bring in our alums. But this has to be done. If we don't do it, ISP walks away. Now ISP has thought that this is so important that many of these efforts, they have started giving at either free or very less value. Because they know it will place them at the, that's how they bring their foot into the door in the policy level. And then, so, are we truly a national asset? If we truly are, do you see our shadow in the policy making at the national level? Is it sufficient? Should we be higher? The other day someone was asking me that why is it that IIM Calcutta's total revenues, consulting is a very small part, fees is a very large part, executive education is a very large part, but consulting done by our professors. And they said that, I said no, consulting is very low because we abdicated that position. I mean, a kid who graduates from here, 2 years down the line, he has a Bain and Company card, and he is doing that same consulting. This is the reality. The professor who taught him is not, but that boy is. So these are issues. I would urge you not to leave it to me to think through this. How to ensure that we are with a Rajesh and a Manish and a Uttam and tell them this and I want to be a part of this. And that's why you have 5 alums on the board. So, I mean, I think you know Rupa. Are you Rupa's sister? Yes. Yeah, so Rupa's on my board. So it's something which is very, very important. And this shyness in the faculty, I don't want to say more than that. I also know the root cause why that happens, but it would be not fair to talk so far. But yes, we have to break that because I think if the alums come in, our own level will rise. You're shaking your head.
May I respond to that?
Absolutely. Should be done.
My first question is, I don't know. First question is,
what's your name?
Amitabh.
Amitabh, you need it because there are some of us who are hard of hearing. It's not your voice, it's my ears.
I shall shout. I assume that you have flexibility in terms of compensation, etc., and you're not governed by the government on this.
Why are you assuming that?
No, I'm assuming. I don't know.
So you're right, wrong off the bat. Okay. I mean, at this stage, if you're still assuming, this is, you must never forget, this is a 100% government institute.
No, it's a government institute, which means you do not have flexibility.
How can we have flexibility?
Then I do.
You read the act. Read the act. The act says salaries have to be paid as per 7th CPC. Now we can keep discussing.
Then my suggestion is a dead duck.
It is not. That means you are not being able to be creative enough. Why is it a dead duck?
I'll tell you.
Your intention should drive it, not some limitation on a salary.
The suggestion is very clear. The corporate sector gives something called performance pay or variable pay.
So
let's
not go into this.
रुक जाइए सुन लीजिए.
ठीक है सुन लेंगे आपकी बात.
आप वेज कमीशन के हिसाब से दीजिए. You give whatever has to be paid. Incentivize it with consulting.
Amitabh, let me put it this way. when an alum gives an donation, it's not because he or she is incentivized for wage. We are talking about an emotional connect because of which you may not be. I'm talking about.
I'm not talking about values at all.
Everything down to a value of money. It has its limitations. And I'm sorry, I've seen this place 5 years. I've seen IITs, I've seen IIMs. We have to try till you bring it to that level.
See, it's nice to say that value system in terms of
Sorry to interrupt.
recognition.
One second. Remember that meeting that I mentioned in Washington? Several alumni volunteered to teach using facilities like Zoom and other meeting facilities to do virtually, remotely, according to time zones and so on. Do occasional lectures or even teach classes without looking for any compensation. Okay? Because frankly, the kind of compensation that we will get teaching at a US university cannot be matched by within the government regulations.
Shashank, I'll give you a few ideas to how we changed that. Look at this. So when the act was done, the retirement age was 65 for the director. We bumped it up to 70. What's the idea behind that? The idea behind that, the feedback that went from me, was for a 65-year retirement age, the director has to come in at 60. But if a director is coming in at 65, by then, most people in the US would have finished their mortgages, the children are settled, things are done, you can come back and contribute. So that was one. The second part of it is that we have what is called professors of practice. There's a proper term by the Ministry of Education. We just, right now, they're writing a policy. Because when you bring in a professor of practice, how is that professor of practice different from, say, a fully employed, full-time professor here? Nuances start, politics starts. There has to be some way you treat them, because he's a professor of practice, done it, he's put in 30 years in the domain. He probably knows more about the stuff than you know theory. But how do you deal with them? Will they be a member of the academic council? Because the Act talks about 3 authorities: the board, superintending authority, the director, and the academic council. Now, academic council is all full-time profs. Will we have the magnanimity to say that professors of practice who are teaching here will also be a part of my academic council? My board has suggested to them, now why don't you bring in, the Act allows that highly capable people who the director recommends can come into the academic council. So we have the levers are in place. Are we using it? Will we be able to use it?
Oh, so actually, again, somebody wants to ask.
Yeah,
Go ahead, sir.
thank you for a very enlightening presentation so far. I have a feeling, others may not help, that we are getting into areas and items of discussion on which we do not have sufficient knowledge or background. I believe this discussion will not lead anywhere if we do that. I think it's good to give solutions at the higher level based on our experience. We've all been in organizations and we start digging into something without really knowing the background and what's happening. I think it's not the right thing.
What's your good name, sir?
Vasudevan.
That's so nice of you to say that, sir, but please be reassured that on my part, I do not take these things as that way. I look at the intention behind what he's saying, and I think if I start looking at it from the lenses that you're putting, then obviously it will take nowhere. But I do feel that this is such a precious opportunity that he may say things coming from his view, and there is huge value to it. And I think he will allow me to be a little emotional when I respond to it. But I'll never mistake his.
I didn't say you did.
No, I know you didn't say.
Yeah, no, but my only suggestion that probably it's a better thing to do is to create some sort of a feedback loop, an idea bank, through which we can give you what we think is our ideas, and
So
you can.
that's a beautiful idea, but let me tell you again, when feedback comes, it's very easy to give feedback. feedback. Now you come and join my team this side. My team, as in I'm in the board, I'm not operational. Look at the executive side. Do they have the MIT to catch this feedback and work on it? That's what truly is a learning organization. So IIM Calcutta may be teaching you, but has it imbibed those principles? Now don't get me to place where you guys will say that this guy is talking all nonsense. So, but feedback is easy, we come. And 10 years down the line, you'll catch somebody else here said, I sent a feedback, nothing happened. You know. So how do we create that? Why is it that Ahmedabad is doing this better than us? Do we have the gumption and the shoulders to be able to look at ourselves and say, hey, there's some deficiency here, can I fix it? If I can't fix it, can I ask, say, Shankar or Amitabh, somebody to help me in that? Because I don't think it's an era of competition anymore. Unless you collaborate, you're not going anywhere. This is my view. But then again, I'm not sure.
I totally agree with you. I was just wondering if we need to face we don't know.
Excuse me, can I make a small suggestion? Just connect with the alumni. I think you should start an alumni magazine, periodical magazine.
So this,
which you should send to all the alumni, including MDC.
So this group which is looking at the archives has has one member in it whom I have requested. I told GM Kapoor also that please look at the quality of our publications to connect with the alumni. There's so much going on. Are we communicating enough? Look at the stories that you write. Look, and the easiest way is just look at benchmark it with, say, an sister institution like Ahmedabad. You go to the web and you can see.
Because Ahmedabad has a magazine. They give all the development in the institute about the alumni. Who have achieved something, who have achieved some good greater heights. And they have small.
I'm sure they also have, but I'm not aware of it. Manish, do you have a magazine?
And they are one or two articles there. And about the faculty who has joined, and about the alumni also, if somebody has passed away or somebody has, done something great, all these are there. You can have a look at the magazine from IIM.
Yes.
And I think you should start that. It keeps you connected with the institute because you know what's happening. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for your time and your efforts to come here. My name is Peter Masilamani, and I just have 2 or 3 observations to share with you. Looking at this physical structure we are in this room, this will probably last for 200 years in terms of the concrete, etc. It's solid construction. When walking around this morning, I was very, very saddened to see a lot of structures, first-class structures, physically, which have been very, very poorly maintained. Simple stuff like painting it looks dirty, leaves falling on it. It's, excuse the term, disgraceful. I think rather than tearing down buildings and putting up some more buildings and then maintaining them badly so that in 30 years they have to be demolished, I think if you maintain a building properly, it should last you for 100 years. Prime example is Emerald Bower, which has not been maintained. It's still there after I don't know how many 150 years. That's one observation. And a second observation is, I have been through a school, I've been through IIT Madras, I've been through IIM Calcutta, clap hands everybody, bravo, fantastic. Now, over my entire learning trajectory, I probably had about 100 teachers. Some guy taught you mathematics, geography, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And thinking back on it, there are 2 people who really, as teachers, affected my life. They turned the way I think, operate, etc. And maybe another 1 or 2 here in IIM were good people. Thinking about it, the other 96 were at best mediocre. Within joining IIT, within 3 months, I was totally demotivated. Okay, and the point you have said is quality of faculty is if you have somebody who can teach and transmit motivation and knowledge. Knowledge, people here don't need an IIM. You've got, as you said, the input is excellent. So you will get excellent output, even if you have a lousy institute, because you have very good input. The key is to find faculty members instead of 2 out of 100. If you could somehow get 10 or 15 out of 100 whom we experience, that would really be a factum leap. Thank you very much.
No, I agree with you, Peter. This is a very valuable input. The efforts on the part of the institute to attract good faculty is continuous. So the question then begs is, if you're pegging there, are you getting them? Now, I'll not go into the details of whether we get them. If so, do we get them in sufficient numbers? Does somebody else get them? What are the root cause analysis of that? But I guess that would be a part of any institution to go down to the root causes to figure out, are they getting sufficient? Are they not getting sufficient? Are they training their own individual faculty, providing them with sufficient opportunities to upgrade themselves? So I do believe that IIM Calcutta is enlightened and is sensitive to that. But when we work with them on the board, with the faculty, we have started looking at it that faculty hiring should be in a manner that it adds to our vision and mission. It's not just filling up numbers. So, I may have, for example, we have a sanctioned strength of 126. But today our faculty strength is probably 80. We're short by that much. Do we need 126? The sanction strength was decided some 10 years ago. Do we need that? If we need that, in today's context, do we just fill them up equally? There could be some courses which are more in demand and bringing in more revenue. Are we using those kind of metrics to decide economics area will get 3 but finance will get 5? They teach you how to do this business plan, but are they using it themselves? So I'm just leaving it unanswered.
Thank you.
Can I take just exactly 5 minutes?
Please. I'm not going anywhere. I have a flight in the evening.
Well, flight in the evening. But I know many of my colleagues here are also, it's reaching its, the discussion is reaching its plateau.
Sure. I have a video to show you that master.
No, we would love to, but I'll tell you what I want to say, sir.
Get your name first.
Krishna. My name is Chris Ramachandran. Chris is short form of Krishna Ramachandran. In 2008, Mr. Kumar Birla, who was the chairman of MITS-Pilani, had just taken over as the chancellor. So he was looking around for somebody to support him, and because we're managing MITS. So I met him, I spent an hour with him, and he asked me, are you willing to spend some more time on as far as MITS matters are concerned? I said, yes, one thing led to the other. And a 2-year assignment went on to become an 8-year assignment. And all the issues that you have raised, every one of them, and all the issues my colleagues have raised, we have tried to negotiate and negotiated over 80% of them. Except the constraint on salaries, wages of the government constraints that we did not have. But we had a different type of government constraint in terms of the UGC. And it took us something like 8 years to fight UGC before the policy was changed and UGC was disbanded. And we had a small role to play in that. So what I'm saying, sir, is that Hafiz did our expansion.
I know.
And he must have told you that when you were looking at him. And we have spent close to 2,000 crores in terms of upgrading of infrastructure facilities. All internally generated funds and external funds. So if your board requires Ravan is there as an interface, how it was done, what was done, because this is not a one-time discussion. It has to be on and on. I just want to say I am available.
2 thumbs up, sir. Actually, that's what I was trying to tell. I think he's left just now. He's just walked out. This kind of a work, you probably did it for Mr. Birla on the remuneration. But when you do it for a place like this, it will have to be the emotional connect because
It was not only for the
no, I'm sure it is not. No, Chris, I shouldn't have said that. What I'm saying is, Birla has the heft, if it was, to go down that track. We don't.
Oh yeah, sure.
So what I'm trying to say is, for example, my 5 years here, I don't get 1 rupee from this place. But I spend 25 hours in a day thinking about IIM Calcutta. So my wife is asking me, यार तुम तो घर में पैसे ही नहीं लाते। ये IIM Calcutta क्या चीज़ है? Her own brother is an alum from here. She didn't want me to come here because my mom's 94, she's gone. So that's why I'm on a one day leash, gone outside. But unless you bring in that level of emotion, if we start bringing in the paisa analysis, ठीक है वो होगा, but फिर वो होता ही रहेगा. You have to bring in some amount of emotional connection. और वो आपके पास है, हमारे पास नहीं है. I never doubt the alum's love for the institute. Are we able to net you? That is our internal discussion. Right. The day it happens, it will happen. Ramananda knows that we need 2,000 crores for the, till 2036 is the master plan. You will see the master plan. We want to rebuild it. Exactly. Hafiz took us through those steps. Okay. So let me just show you the video and then I'll go to the next if there are any questions.
Just one,
one last question,
one observation.
Yeah.
Faculty selection is done because one of the things driving the institute is also ranking in the institute. That as undue weightage, in my opinion, on research faculty. So a lot of faculty that are recruited are good at research. But what students take away more is the people who teach well. So this balance that has to be achieved, and one of the steps in that direction is to get professors of practice.
So
and I know you're doing it, but
no, you have a very valid point. We have discussed this, that how long will we be held hostage to a ranking system? What do we need to? But the damn thing is, in today's world, my revenue is HDR. The number of kids at CAT who will choose Calcutta if you're not in the ranking system may drop. Now that is something, if I was to be the CEO here, I would postpone that decision till I bring up my endowment to a buffer level where I can say, take a walk, I don't need that here. But right now I won't do that because I'm not there.
yeah, but that journey will never end.
No, no. You are looking at that journey from your own life. You and me have a 100-year life or 70 years, but संस्था शाश्वत होती है. This is not a 100-meter race कि कोई जीत गया gold medal ले गया खत्म हो गया. It is not that. It is a long distance. You have to keep doing every day, repeatedly, time and again, simple basics one after the other. It has to be done. But if you start looking at it as a 100-meter race with a gold medal at the end and we lost on, then you lost it in the end. I don't look at it that way. People ask me, what is the legacy you are leaving for IIM Calcutta? I said, nothing. I didn't come here with that Krishna left some legacy. IIM Calcutta will go on. There's going to be somebody else. But I put the trajectory in an irreversible fashion. Somebody else pulls it further. That incremental change over 10 years will start showing. That's how I look at it. But that's where I said that emotional connect becomes extremely important. That's what, if I didn't have the emotional connect, I won't spend 1 second. I won't have come to meet you guys. I had no need, no chairman. People ask me, chairs don't come for alumni meetings. What kind of precedents do you want to set? I said, I'm not planning to set up precedents, but these are people who are going through these portals. They invited me. Why should I say no so lightly? So the question was, will you come for every reunion? No, I don't have an answer. Ramananda is a friend. Leave, sir.
Sir, it's now 12:45.
Sorry.
We'll wind up now this formal program. He is available. He will be joining us for lunch also. You can take your questions offline. Any of you,
You are letting us see some movies?
There is a movie.
Now, please.
There's a movie after this.
It's okay.
So further Q&A, you can use and take it offline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shri Krishna Kulkarni, also Dr. Uttam Sir.